If you think the current era of Formula One is boring, I've got some good news for you. As the engineers from the FIA and Formula One are hard at work on the Formula One car scheduled for 2026. The goal is to recuperate 350 kilowatts every lap. This also has a significant influence on the car's structure. And not only that, but they're also promising better overtaking. Could this be true? When it comes to new Formula One regulations, 2 years is not a long period, and the 2026 car will be much larger than the 2022 cut, because it has an impact on both the engine and the car itself. The new engine restrictions will influence how the car looks. This is due to a significant shift in the driving concept. The hybrid drives regulations are well understood. The design of the combustion engine will remain mostly unchanged. The minimum weight is 130 kilograms, with the turbocharger weighing 12 kilograms. The MG UK must weigh at least 16 kilograms, and the battery must weigh at least 35 kilograms. This would result in a total weight of 193 kilograms, which is 23% greater than it is now. In addition to using 100% sustainable fuel, the percentage of electric power has almost tripled. The battery thus provides 350 kilowatts instead of 120 kilowatts. For the recuperation of 475 horsepower, however, only the MG UK is still available. The MG UH is being removed, which takes energy from the surplus energy of the exhaust gases. This has an effect on the rest of the car. Every lap, the battery must be provided with energy in some way. The traditional recovery of kinetic energy in the engine's partial load range is insufficient. Furthermore, petrol must be burned in order to create electricity. Experts estimate that around 30 kilograms of the 100 kilograms of petrol available for the race will be utilized to charge the battery. Another issue is the large weight of the latest generation of drive units. The new cars, weighing 798 kilograms, are far too heavy for purists. Without countermeasures, the weight of the new hybrid powertrain would be significantly above 800 kilograms. The FIA, on the other hand, has lately revealed its aim to lower the total weight of the cars by 50 kilograms. Pat Simmons, Formula One technical director, believes this amount is overly ambitious, but believes there is a strong likelihood of decreasing weight by 20 kilograms in the first stage. There may be no minimum weight at all. Competition would bring the weight down the fastest. Both the FIA and Formula One have advocates for this. The FIA's stringent load testing on the one hand and the budget cap on the other would avoid safety-related excesses and a cost explosion. The technical offices would then have to decide whether to put money in assured lap time through weight or theoretical in aerodynamics. The season of 2022 showed that this balancing act might be highly appealing. Alfa Romeo had gone disproportionately well thanks to a lightweight car in the beginning of 2022. Red Bull, on the other hand, was way heavier, and without its excellent aerodynamics, they would actually have failed because of the extra weight. However, FIA sports head Nicholas Tombazis and Pat Simmons are concerned that certain teams may overreact to the consequences. To eliminate risk, minimum criteria would have to be implemented. However, as a first step, it is possible to increase the weight restriction for the driving components. A cost restriction would also prevent a costly arms race in this case. The main danger of using too much lightweight construction would be faults in them, but a bit more unpredictability might be beneficial to the sport. Even without a minimum weight, the drive will be heavier than it is now. You'll have to make up for it with the rest of the car, and this is where the red pencil is being used extensively. Instead of 8 speeds, the gearbox will only have 6. Cars and tires will be more compact. The width will be reduced from 200 to 190 centimeters, while the wheelbase will be reduced from 360 to 340 centimeters. Simmons believes 330 centimeters is achievable, but several teams disagree. Thus, they decided on 340 centimeters. The wings are similarly affected by the loss in area and volume. The downforce is expected to be decreased by 40% according to experts. Active aerodynamics should further minimize drag on the straights, allowing cars to avoid sailing for too long in order to charge the battery. Simulations demonstrate that even when all considerations are included, cars will not be any slower. The good news is that without the use of technological assistance, overtaking should become easier. The engineers are proposing a minor idea tweak for this, which was previously planned for the 2022 cars but then shelved. Simmons has not yet revealed what it entails. Only this much: following another car will be a lot easier in the future. But this is something we've heard before, right? Remember the promises made for the 2022 changes? And look at us now. We're watching big boat-like cars driving on extremely small tracks week in, week out. But this isn't the only news, as following months of examination by the FIA of expressions of interest to join F1 as early as 2025, the governing body has now disclosed the results of its work. According to a statement made on Monday, Andretti is the sole application being considered for the third and final stage of selection, which includes F1's commercial rights holders. Its entry under the name Andretti Formula Racing LLC is the only one of 4 final bidders to have satisfied the FIA's stringent criteria and been advanced to the application process's final stage. While the FIA is pleased with the Andretti offer and feels it meets all of the standards, it does not guarantee that the team will be able to compete. The FIA's due diligence procedure involves a thorough examination of each applicant's sporting, technical, and financial analyses. The final round ultimately boils down to whether Andretti can persuade the commercial rights holder to withdraw a long-standing opposition. Andretti must now find a good economic agreement with FOM, and there has long been known opposition to expanding the field beyond 10 teams. This, though, is likely to be the most difficult yet, as it is known that the 10 existing teams would wish to remain a private and unreachable group. If the existing Concord deal gets approved, Andretti would be required to pay a non-refundable entrance fee of $200 million, which would be divided equally among the teams. According to them, this is far too little and only compensates them for a short time for the losses they will suffer as a result of an 11th team cutting off its piece of the cake. As supporters for the established teams, the rights holders are also uninterested in adding a new team. F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali has stated repeatedly that any new team must contribute a tangible value to the competition. As we always said, we need to make sure that the decision is right for the business, he said before the summer break. And this is what I think is the duty of the FIA and us together. That has to be taken. So that is another decision that will be taken in the next couple of months. Because of this context, as well as the fact that this is an ongoing process, F1's response to the FIA announcement was brief and borderline forced. We note the FIA's conclusions in relation to the first and second phase of their process, and will now conduct our own assessment of the merits of the remaining application. The application procedure is divided into 3 major stages. The first is the first request for expressions of interest, which drew numerous inquiries according to the FIA. The FIA described the second phase as a robust process of due diligence, during which the applicants were assessed on the sporting and technical ability, the ability of the team to raise and maintain sufficient funding to allow participation in the championship at a competitive level, and the team's experience and human resources. According to FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem, the selection procedure for Andretti was quite rigorous, which is why the investigation took so long to complete since the process began in February. And with recent speculation that any failure by Andretti to establish commercial arrangements and obtain an entry may result in legal action, Ben Sulayem was cautious in emphasizing that the FIA had followed proper protocols. The FIA was very clear in establishing stringent criteria for entry from the outset of the expression of interest procedure, he said. Our objective after rigorous due diligence during the application phase was to only approve prospective entries which satisfied the set of criteria and illustrated that they would add value to the sport. The FIA is obligated to approve applications that comply with the expressions of interest application requirements, and we have adhered to the procedure in deciding that Andretti Formula Racing LLC's application would proceed to the next stage of the application process. In taking that decision, the FIA is acting in accordance with EU directives on motorsport participation and development. Andretti Formula Racing LLC was the only entity which fulfills the selection criteria that was set in all material respects. I congratulate Michael Andretti and his team on a thorough submission. I also want to thank all prospective teams for their interest and participation. Essentially, the authorities had no choice but to accept Andretti. An EU rule from 2000 forbids denying an application for inexplicable grounds. To do so, one would have to endanger oneself or bring the sport into disrespect. Andretti is a well-known racing team that has been in operation for decades. Its engine partner, General Motors, is one of the world's largest automobile manufacturers. GM is in the process of budgeting for the development of a Formula One engine. GM is serious about its Cadillac campaign, even if Andretti must first stock up on chassis know-how and engines at Alpine. In order to shift funds for the Formula One project, only one car will participate in the WEC in the future. Furthermore, the Americans have already hired Formula One experienced employees for key roles in the driving department. Andretti welcomed the news, saying in a statement, "Andretti Cadillac is honored that the FIA has approved Andretti Formula Racing's expression of interest for the Formula One World Championship. We appreciate the FIA's rigorous, transparent and complete evaluation process and are incredibly excited to be given the opportunity to compete in such a historic and prestigious championship. The formation of this distinctly American team is an important moment of pride for all our employees and fans. We feel strongly that Andretti Cadillac's deep racing competencies and the technological advancements that come from racing will benefit our customers while heightening enthusiasm for F1 globally. We look forward to engaging with all of the stakeholders in Formula One as we continue our planning to join the grid as soon as possible. But are you welcoming the news? Would you like to see an 11th team on the grid? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. It would mean there are 2 extra places on the grid for talented or pay-to-play drivers, so that would be something good, right?